Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus Dead or Alive video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Dead or Alive Ultimate on the Xbox. And as you can see on the back of here, Dead or Alive Ultimate 2, which was the remade version of Dead or Alive 2, was actually the main highlight of this, since you can see, I don't know if you can see that all too well, all the screenshots here are actually Dead or Alive Ultimate 2, none of them being Dead or Alive Ultimate 1, which, as I showed you in one of my previous videos, was just a version of the Sega Saturn version, just upscaled a little. So here, of course, is the case for Dead or Alive Ultimate 2. And if you look on the back here, there's a picture of nude Kasumi that Itagaki likes so much, and her boobs are all blurred out, so don't worry about the kiddies getting all offended by that. And then we open up the case here, and here's our disc. Now I'm going to be playing this on the Xbox 360, because the sad thing is, if you switch Xbox consoles like I did with the Halo Green one, your Dead or Alive Ultimate saves get invalidated and you can't use them. But luckily, I did a whole Dead or Alive save here on the Xbox 360, so I can fully play that. So we just open the system here, put it right in. And right now, if you didn't hear it in the background, the Xbox 360 just started to load up. I don't have the volume all that loud. We're just going to take a look here at the action on the screen here. And of course, I have my Xbox 360 controller. I have it plugged into the plane charge kit because the battery died ages ago, and that keeps it powered up because I don't plan to really go really far away from the system or anything. As you can see, there's my avatar, and I have the Final Fantasy 13 Lightning wallpaper as my main wallpaper here. And this game was released in 2004 and 2006 in the PAL UK region, so let's get right into this. I'm just going to select the select option, and we're going to get right into this. Let's take a look. And just like any Xbox game you insert into the Xbox 360, you get the Xbox logo here. It looks a little bit stretched since I have it in widescreen mode. And if you ever have this game in widescreen mode, it always has that stretched Xbox logo, and that really goes for any of the original Xbox games. And the warning you're seeing here is something that was actually prompted by Tecmo, because people were actually modifying their games. The whole thing really started with Dead or Alive 2 on the PlayStation 2, where a group of hackers found a way to modify a save to give you nude Kasumi as a playable character. Ever since then, they put this federal warning, since Itagaki didn't want anyone messing with the game. So it's all strictly prohibited, and they could fine you and they could put you in jail. But to my knowledge, no one has actually just been singled out. There was a thing back in the day that a group had was got for that, because basically Tecmo thought they stole the encryption code for the character skins for this game, but nothing had happened like that. Basically what happened was their encryption was more or less too light, and somebody was easy to crack it. But, you know, instead of saying, oh, we just didn't do a good job, they're just like, oh, you guys hacked our games and stole our source code, so that's why the whole lawsuit happened. I'm just trying to dispel the rumor that it wasn't about nude characters. And that's a cool feature about this version. There's the booster, as you saw there, which had part of the icons from G4 and the booster disc, so if you didn't have one of the demo discs. And just like in Dead or Alive 2 on the PlayStation 2, you have this nice CG gallery, which there are a lot more renders of your favorite characters here. The only thing I found lacking about this CG gallery is it doesn't have all of the the promotional renders that were from Dead or Alive 2 that you saw on the PlayStation 2, kind of like the ones that they initially had for Dead or Alive 2, which had various characters just like lounging around in bikinis. These are more or less like ones rendered from the actual games, but as you'd imagine, there's a heck of a lot more of them. So yeah, if you're a real fan of that, then you would really love this kind of thing. And this gets unlocked when you meet certain requirements in the game. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just show you here, this is the collection. If you collect everything in the collection, it unlocks everything. This is probably the easiest way to unlock everything. Gotta love these prototype Xboxes. They basically their whole thing about the prototype Xbox was they wanted to look big and industrial. That's where the big metal X came from. And you can see various modes like Time Attack, DOA 2 Story, which we're going to select. And if you heard a bit of a change in the music there, it's because this bit of footage was filmed separately from that beginning bit, but I figured they fit together well enough not to like re-edit anything. And I'm going to just pick Li Fang here. Originally I was going to pick her Xbox outfit, as all the girls have one, but let's go for something a little bit more tropical. Now the reason this game is in widescreen, which in my opinion it looks great in widescreen, is because on the Xbox 360 it puts this game in widescreen really nice, and I hear if you have the Xbox connected to a widescreen display, you're going to have the same type of thing. The only thing that I was just thinking when I was playing this game lately is I just find it kind of weird how they went for more of the original looking, actually more like the plain looking life bars as you see in this game. Whereas I thought the life bars in the original arcade version and Sega Saturn versions just looked a little bit more fancy. And one thing that longtime fans will notice right away is that they've actually gone along and edited a lot of the in-game subtitles, so a lot of the things that the characters say have actually been greatly altered. And personally, since I don't know much Japanese at the point of recording this, I'm not sure if it's just like it makes it like a better translation, or if they just wanted the characters to be saying different things. Now, to give you some vital statistics, strangely enough, this came out in North America first. It came out on October 26th of 2004. Then it came out November 3rd of 2004 in Japan. And finally, all the way on February 18th of 2005 in the Europe. And one thing that's actually kind of strange about Dead or Alive Ultimate is both of the discs that you get in the 2-disc collection are exactly identical. And the reason for that is that when you play an online game, if you're trying to join somebody who's playing DOA 1, the DOA 1 contents are actually on your disc, so all it has to do is switch the XBE it's running, and then run that. The only real difference between the two discs is what version of Dead or Alive they boot initially. It's all controlled by one little text file that says either DOA 1 or DOA 2 in it, which just seems a little strange to me. I personally think they should have just released it as a single disc with the selection menu in the beginning. The saddest thing about this is, not too long ago, they shut down the original Xbox Live service, so sadly there is no way to play this game online anyway, even though it is such a great game to play online. And that also goes for the original Dead or Alive as well. Now, if you notice in the Grand Opera Hall here, instead of just being burning down when you actually see Helena's cinema, the whole place just totally going to flames during the fight, which just makes it a bit of a more intense scene to be fighting in, I thought at least. Now this is another new level for this game called the Ray House. And you'll always hear that different announcer guy as your announcer when you're fighting in this arena, because it's just kind of how they do it. Kind of like in DOA 4, I believe it's in the wrestling arena, the announcer gets changed in that as well. It's really cool, like discotheque type place. I think it's really cool, at least. And here's that classic cutscene from the original Dead or Alive 2. Another place where they changed the subtitles. I even remember what they said. I believe in the original one, she's like, "I learned Kung Fu to live in your world," instead of "I will be accepted in your world." I guess they figured that sounded a little bit more assertive on Li Fang's part, that she's saying, "Oh, you better accept me. I did all my best to figure out how to live with you, so you should really accept what I'm doing here." And just, if you're coming off of the PlayStation version of this game, you'll definitely notice everything just has greater detail. I don't know if I mentioned it before in this video, but this game runs off of the Dead or Alive Xtreme Beach Volleyball engine, which is another thing that makes it look a bit better. And this is another thing in this version of the game, another change. My deception rules all of creation. Although, when you really think about it, saying that, or saying everything is my delusion, they're kind of like the same thing. He's basically like saying, this world is like my fantasy, I'm creating this, I'm taking you into my fantasy, more or less. And the costume you see here, Tengu actually had this this model in the Dreamcast and PlayStation 2 versions. Well, I know at least the PlayStation 2 versions. But, in none of my playthroughs did he actually use this one. And what you had seen him do just before he beat me up there is one of my favorite parts of Tengu in this game. I just love how he actually can stomp on the ground, and it more or less changes the whole season of the background. Like, now it's like more of a spring-summer type thing. He can also turn it into snow, he can turn it into autumn. It's just a really, really, really cool thing, in my opinion, that he can do in this game. I just think it's a really nice effect. And see there, now he changed it into an autumn setting. Although it's still the same place. I just think that was a really cool thing. And when I originally played this playthrough, I didn't think I was going to win right in that part. As you could see, I just barely squeaked by, if you will. And that's one thing I always thought was weird with Li Feng. She says nothing, she does nothing. She just kind of stares into the sunset. And it's the same thing for the original PlayStation 2 and Dreamcast versions as well. There's just no words for her. It makes me think a little bit of Helena's ending, but Helena actually looks at her locket and says, "Mother, it's you," or something like that. So it actually makes more sense. And in that scene where they're talking about power, I just find it weird how Tina's whistle is actually a lot more high-pitched than it was in the PlayStation 2 version. It just seems out of place, I would say. And that's one thing I liked about Dead or Alive 2, is that it used more or less all in-game footage for its cutscenes, because I know I probably went on in length on my other video, but I just think the graphics in Dead or Alive 2 look excellent, and I think there's no reason in any Dead or Alive game, in my opinion, that you really need CG, because it just feels more real in a fighting game when you have this cutscene between the two characters who are talking, and then it goes right into the gameplay. It doesn't cut to a pre-rendered cutscene and then you see what's going on. It just flows a lot better, in my opinion. And then that's all for the story mode. I showed you a little bit there, but since I didn't feel that was enough of such a nice, beautiful game, we're going to move on to tag team mode. And I'm going to show you a bit of tag team mode. And what I had done here was, I pressed the start button when I select tag mode, and selecting the characters. And what that does is it makes the computer select a random tag teams instead of like the matched ones. And I just think it's a little bit funner. More fun, if you will. I used to say funner all the time when I was young, but I was actually not sure which costume I wanted to choose for Tina here, but I end up actually choosing the silver one, because I think it goes the best with Zach's silver Teletubby, as I call it. And now, as you can see from the tag team there, that's Genfu. Genfu is not matched with his Helena like he normally would be, so the AI actually does decently with characters who are not matched right, but they don't do nearly as well as they do with like the really crazy tag teams. So like Genfu and Bayman aren't going to do as well. And the scene you see here, the aquarium, is actually based off of the Dead or Alive 3 stage of the same name. Dead or Alive 3, of course, I'll be showing in my next video, so you can look forward to that. I'll probably make some mention toward the end as well. It's a little bit changed, and plus, there's one event in this aquarium that doesn't happen that happens in the Dead or Alive 3 if she's not in the arena, but Hitomi will swim by in the Dead or Alive 3 arena, which is pretty nice. And now here we are back in the Ray house. And a lot of people, if you don't know anything about this game, might be realizing why Hitomi's here, because this is Dead or Alive 2. But more or less, they just included her as a bonus, and that goes to another subject that I was more or less wondering whenever I see this game is, they included Hitomi as a bonus character. I don't honestly see why they didn't include Brad Wong, or Christy, or Hayate, because it wouldn't have been too much trouble to really include 3 more characters. In other words, include all the Dead or Alive fighting game characters you had until then, and make it the ultimate Dead or Alive 2. And getting on the subject of making this the ultimate game, there are also a couple of other things that I feel just were unjustly left out. Like, they're not the best in the world, but they are a little bit comical, as you've seen from one of my previous videos. But I don't see why they didn't include the English voices. That just would have been a bit of a comedy thing if they left those in, just as a little added feature to really make this the ultimate Dead or Alive game. And another one that would have been nice is, if you remember in my Dead or Alive 2 hardcore video when I showed the Japanese version, there was the turbo mode that allowed you to do turbo and survival and tag modes and a few others. That would have been another addition that would have been a really nice thing to add. And for the longest time, I was surprised when I found out that that Bass and Ryu Hayabusa actually had tag moves. The level we're fighting in right now is called the Cyclotron. Very similar to like a Danger Zone type arena with all these hazards in it, so I thought this was a really cool arena. A lot of people when you used to play this online loved to abuse all the hazards. Like they would keep smashing you against that with like a dragon kick from Jan Lee or the crazy twist kick that Ayane has. It would get annoying after a while, but of course there's easy ways to counter that. That's another thing that I think is weird with the subtitles here. Zach is like, "That ain't right, man." I guess he considers like Tina his like friend or something, so he calls it her man. But yeah, I find that a little bit weird. And you notice in this moving Danger Zone, it was just happening a little while ago, but first the Danger Zone came down like an elevator, and then now it's going its normal, like, diagonal type path as it normally would. But if you look on the track, there's a lot of different, like, things in the background instead of just being, like, a plain metal pipe or something. So it looks a lot more interesting in the background, I would say, than some of the other Danger Zones. And I noticed the actual explosive cylinders are a little bit skinnier. And this is one of the first times in a while I actually saw Ayane and Kasumi together as a tag team in a Dead or Alive game, but more or less this is just a coincidence. It's not like it's a tag team that the game chose on purpose. It was just the random mode, as I told you I selected at the beginning. They're one of my favorite tag teams, if you didn't already know from seeing me play them in various other games. Other Dead or Alive games. I think I might have even done a playthrough in this game at one point. I believe it was in my my Lisa and Christy mod mode video, which was actually a pretty fun one to do. Where I had put the Lisa and Christy costumes, thanks to Mario Kart 64N, who had helped me get those up and running in this game. And this is another arena called the Downtown, which has all cars speeding by, and you see Ninja Gaiden advertised in the billboard. And the subway even, and the police car. Just all kinds of cool little elements in that stage make it a really fun, entertaining background. While Dead or Alive Ultimate is definitely a really cool version of Dead or Alive 2, I kind of get nostalgic and still like the original version, but this version still stands up to this day, and most people who have an Xbox 360 would probably love to see this on their console, and I would really highly recommend it to everybody. Another quick note is you'll notice that there was 2 voice actresses' names for Kasumi. That's because the original one who did it, and then the one who did it for Dead or Alive 3, both of those voices are included in here, so it's a nice little bonus. Until later, I will see you in the Dead or Alive 3 video. Bye.